Hello, and welcome to I'm a Perfectionist, Get Me Out of Here, where we are all allowed to be perfectly imperfect. I am Eileen Webb, a licensed psychologist, cognitive behavioral and emdr therapist, podcaster, author of Perfectly Imperfect and Transformation Through the Power of Quotes. My guest in this episode is Dr. Peter Rios, who is an organizational consultant and leadership coach. He's also the author of Maximise. Peter's mission is to help people maximize their potential and live joyful and fulfilling lives. Peter, hello and welcome. It's wonderful to have you here today.
Hi, Eileen. So great to be with you. So excited for this talk. I've been waiting. I've been waiting for us to
Amazing,
connect.
amazing, because there's all the energy in the room, even though we are in different parts of the world, with this
That's right.
excitement about what we are about to do and what we are about to share with the audience. So do you want to share first whereabouts you are in the world with the audience?
Sure. I'm in the friendly island of St. Martin in the Caribbean. So enjoying the sun, enjoying the beach, and we'll be here at least through August. So excited to be here and connect with you. Space and time are no longer limitations for us. We can connect online, and that's such a blessing.
Isn't that amazing? It really
Yeah.
is. But I am a little envious because I'm looking out of my window here in Essex in the UK, and it's raining.
Oh,
Raining
well,
and not very nice.
rain is good though. The rain is good as necessary. Hopefully, you'll have a better turnaround later.
Yes, a bit of summer is very much needed around here.
Yeah, yeah.
Peter, thank you for coming. What would you say to people? Why would they stay here and listen to us? What do you think they will gain out of this episode?
Oh, wow. I mean, if you've been through any failure or setback, if you have felt like you're not enough, if you have felt that, maybe there's something still missing, but you have something awesome to do or accomplish, stay tuned because we are about to get deep into those issues and empower you, motivate you, and inspire you to make a mega difference. So,
Absolutely. An amazing chat this will be.
yes.
Okay, so what brought you to where you are now? What kind of experiences would you say made you explore further about not being enough or the failure and doing something to help people?
I think that we can only live or teach what we have lived and what we believe, right? And I think that my message is very clear. I write about it, I speak about it, I coach about people maximizing their lives. And at one point, I was not maximizing. Actually, I was living a minimizing life, not to be confused with minimalism or minimizing. That's totally different. But you know, I went through so many failures. I hit rock bottom. I have, had some major setbacks in life. For example, even as a youngster, I tried out for the basketball team 6 years in a row, right? From seventh grade all the way till 12th grade in the US. And I got cut from those teams. Cut meaning you don't make the team, you can't play. Very sad, right? And at the same time, that was building a certain level of resilience for me because I believed that I should be on the team. Um, my mom and dad were not around. My grandmother Lourdes raised me. So I had a certain level of feeling like abandonment or neglect, if that makes sense. What child doesn't want their parents around, right? I thought they weren't around because I was, not good enough. And so that was another thing that early on really struck me. And then when I was as an adult, I served in the military in the US and I got out of the military honorable service, but I left with a bad habit, an addiction of being an alcoholic. And so those things, that really can take a grip on you. And if you don't overcome them, it can be devastating. And I had a choice to make. Either I'm going to take control of my life, take responsibility, or I'm just going to go down this negative path of self-destruction, or feeling that I'm not good enough and that I don't belong. And so, thank God, right? I made the decision. I got help. I looked for resources that could help me to go from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset, to believing in myself, even if others didn't believe, right? And here I am today, coaching, consulting, writing books. I would never have thought that growing up in poverty, I would have had the opportunity to consult at institutions like Harvard University or teach at Penn State. And I think that it takes intentionality, but it also takes other people. And so I am not pretending to be here on my own. That, Alan, that you need help. Eileen, we need help, right? I mean, you need someone else to also come alongside you. And so there have been many beautiful people who have come alongside me to help me and empower me. And that's why I'm doing what I'm doing, because others have helped me, and now I also want to serve.
It's also amazing how you attract those people over time that helps you on your journey, right? And it shows amazing determination as well, that you kept trying for that basketball team
Yeah. Yeah.
over and over.
Over.
Yeah,
Yeah. And
you
every
didn't
year.
you didn't just you didn't just go, you know what, I'm useless, I'm such a failure, and I'm not going to try it again. You actually went over and over again for 6 years. That is fantastic. That really show resilience and determination, as you said.
Yeah. Well, you
And
know what?
mhm.
Part of my interruption, I don't want to pretend I don't want to pretend that I didn't feel those things you said. Like, I did feel at one point, after the second and third year, I'm like, what's going on here? Maybe I'm no good, or I'm not good enough, or they don't value me. And so, there was a process, a mental process, right? Of like making a decision, are they right? Or do I really believe in who I am and what I have and the value I bring? And, the good news is that when I was in the Marine Corps later on, some years later, I had a chance to try out for the Marine Corps base team. And I thought, I'm not going to make this team. Like all those other teams I thought I should make, I was better than half the other people. But on this team, everybody's in great shape. Everyone's like college, university level athleticism. And I thought, yeah, I'm probably not going to make this team, but I'm going to go for it anyways. I don't have anything to lose. I made that team. So the seventh time, the seventh time was the key. And I actually approached the coach because I was so shocked. Why did you put me on the team? He says, I don't think anybody here wants it as bad as you. And I thought, wow. He goes, so we need that spirit, whatever you're bringing, that effort. I want other people to get it. And so, I started a couple games. And so for me, that was the culmination of setback and failures in basketball, but really in life and in business. Of you cannot give up on yourself. You have to believe even when others don't believe. And that's my message. People are carrying dreams. People are carrying this idea of greatness. And sometimes they just need a break, or sometimes, it's just the journey, the process that's building you up, so that when you finally do get the opportunity, that, you can serve others as well, because you know what it is to go through something like that. And so that's kind of, where we're at and what we're doing, and very excited to be sharing.
It's interesting, isn't it, how some of the beliefs that are formed in our early ages go unquestioned through our adulthood,
Yeah.
unless we actually stop and say, hang on a moment, I am going through this really dark road. I have a choice. I can learn more about myself and question and challenge whether these things, these beliefs are true, and choose another path. But
Yes.
it again, just by standing up and saying to yourself, this is not helping, this is no good for me, I
Yeah.
don't like the way I'm going, and then and then doing something about it, whether you go and get help, get a coach, a therapist, and
Right.
just decide to do it differently and write a different future for yourself.
Yeah.
It sounds
And
like
I,
that's what you did after you came.
yes. And I
Yeah,
know you have a therapy background, so let's go there. Like, in a coaching background, I have had to heal from some of those early on traumas. Sometimes as adults, we're walking with traumas or previous hurts and pains, and we don't realize that those things are manifesting or they're unresolved issues. And so they come out even when you don't realize it, but others may realize. And so I had to make a decision of, if I want to maximize my life, I need to get healing. I need to, and my spouse was crucial in that and helping me to identify the need, and then taking, there's a part of you that's, you want to fight it and resist it because you think you're okay. But once I started to see some folks, get some professional help, it really helped me to first of all, you heal, you overcome these traumas or whatever issues you may be going through, but then you feel so much peace, and you also feel more fulfilled and complete because you are more assured of who you are and what you want to do. And so I would encourage anyone listening to us, if you have any type of issue, if you need help, get it. We're done with those days where therapy and counseling was stigmatized. It's like, oh, that's negative, or that's no. If you need help, you need to get it, because we want you to become the best version of yourself, right? I mean,
absolutely. Yeah.
yeah. So please
And
do
I
it.
think also the journey to your self-discovery is such a fulfilling, amazing journey that you never stop. And then there are those days, even now, years after I started discovering why I do some of the things that are unhelpful, even sometimes now I go, oh yeah, I know why. That's where it's coming from, and that habit and so on, because we don't even often realize some of the traumas in our lives, in our childhoods, how they, especially childhoods, how they actually shape our behavior, our beliefs about the
Mhm.
world and about ourselves. And when I say trauma, I think many people, I don't know what you think, but I think many people think about PTSD,
Yeah.
post-traumatic stress. So they think, oh, for anyone to experience trauma, they must have been in a traumatic uh, event that is life-threatening, but that's not the case. Trauma can happen even if you are consistently, for example, embarrassed by bullies
Yeah.
and threatened by bullies over a period of time, or neglected, um, or someone put you down for a while. These are all traumatic experiences. So it doesn't have to be that it was a road accident or you have been to war. That is the PTSD, and usually one-time event,
Yeah.
where the other can be over a period of time. If perfectionism is getting in the way of you living your life to the full, then check out my new book, Perfectly Imperfect: Cultivating Your Self-Worth in a Demanding World. It's based on cognitive behavioral principles and can help you work on yourself. Just going back, if I may, please, would you say that your parents not being there, did it have any traumatic effect on your upbringing or on your beliefs? Um, I don't know how you experienced that, because you said,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I thought they were not there because I wasn't good enough. And I
Right.
wonder,
Right. Because, I always, I had some level of communication with them, but
hmm,
as a little boy, I desired to be with my mom and dad. They had separated. And so my grandmother raised me, and she did a great job, first of all, and she raised myself and my two younger cousins. She migrated from Puerto Rico to New York, so she didn't even speak really English. she had a fourth grade education, which I don't know how it is in London, but in the US, that's a elementary level,
Yeah.
elementary school. And but she raised us, and one thing she gave us was her faith. And I think that that for me was very important, that's still up till today. Not just in religious conversation, but also in faith in yourself. Like, there may be times in life when others won't believe in you, and you have to believe in yourself. And I've always taken that, and I think that's probably what got me through those basketball years and of trials. And but I also think that growing up, there was a certain level of like a feeling of abandonment. And sometimes these are subtle feelings that you have that you're not even sure where they're coming from, or that you have relationships that go sour because of maybe not having those parental experiences.
Yeah.
So I think talking that out, going through the history of that with a counselor, and really getting healing, and then forgiveness, and today I speak with my parents, so in that sense we're okay, right? And I'm doing well. But if I had not gone through that process, who knows where I would be, because it can have a very negative effect on people. And so that's why, I encourage people, whatever the issue, it could be that, like you said, you've experienced bullying, or maybe there's been verbal abuse or emotional abuse, or maybe, you just growing up, you had different diverse experiences. There's always time for healing, time to improve and get better, and then you can encourage others to do the same. So that we're just paying it forward, we're just paying it
Yeah,
forward.
absolutely. Yeah, I'm a big fan of that, actually.
Mhm.
And also, I think one of the things is when we are young, when we are children, we don't have control of what happens, that we may look different and people are, other kids are bullying us because of that, or we may just not be liked by them, or we are neglected and so on. There can be many reasons that we are not in control of. But as we grow up and as we become adults, then we can take control of things that are unhelpful
Yeah.
for us and our
Yeah,
work.
and also take the responsibility, right, of your life. You can't do anything about those earlier years, but you can do something about today and tomorrow. And I think that that's where our work today is at, in terms of empowering people to have their best lives, to succeed, to fulfill their calling in life, to, I truly believe everyone has something special. It's like your fingerprints, right? No one else has your fingerprints, and you have gifts and talents and abilities in you that puts possibly no one else has. And I always heard someone say that, one of the richest places on earth was the cemetery. And I'm like, the cemetery, that's where they put people who have passed away. And the individual was like, yes, it's the richest because so many people pass or die, and they never realized or fulfilled their dreams. They died with that that gift, or that business idea, or those books they were supposed to write, or the song or the poem, and so much art and creativity and discovery that we can do as adults. And sometimes we just need an encouraging word to get us to that place so that we can fulfill, our true greatest potential.
Yeah, yeah, amazing. You've got a book out,
Yes.
Maximize.
Mhm.
So it sounds really interesting. So there's 12 keys. Would you like to tell us about those 12 keys to unlocking your greatest potential? And I
Yeah.
think that's probably linked to what you just said about everyone has a gift.
Yes. And I believe everyone is a gift. Like, you are a gift. And maybe you've never even heard that language before, right? Maybe people who are listening to us have never heard anyone tell them that. And so, with your permission, I love to tell them that. Like, you are a gift, you are carrying greatness, and we're waiting for you to realize that, so that we can make this world a better place. Yes, my book, obviously I'm biased, is my book. I think it's a great read. Please get it. But one key that I think transformed my life, and I write about it, is the key of exposure. Like you never know what there is in life or what more you can do or achieve if you've never been exposed to more. So I grew up in somewhat, a very low socioeconomic status in the US. It's called public housing or the projects, very poverty. And it wasn't until someone came in my life. Her name was Dr. Laila Denoya. She's from Venezuela. She was an education director at the local university. And she told me, you don't have to live here for the rest of your life. And I'm thinking, okay, I think she wants to sell me some dreams, and I'm like, what do you mean? And she's like, well, you're here now, but you don't have to stay here. And what you see is not the only thing that exists. Now, up to then, I never had a conversation with anyone who would challenge me like that and who would actually take the time to help me and show me. So I joined this program called the Upper Bound program in the US. It helps first generation and other diverse kids to get to university, right? And she showed us. We went to the University of Toronto in Canada, and I got to see a campus for the first time, and I'm like, wow, what is this, she brought different speakers, different people who were doing different things. She also allowed me to see her and her spouse and their house where they lived. And she was a PhD. She had a PhD in education. Her spouse was a medical doctor from Argentina. And I got to see other Latinos, right, other Hispanics successful. Up to then I had saw only, hustlers on the streets, or what you see back then was TV. There was no YouTube, or the iPhone was not out yet. And so I just thought, like, oh my goodness, like a whole new world opened up for me. And sometimes we think that how our life is, that's all there is. And I would like to challenge that today. Maybe you just need to be exposed to someone else, to something greater or better, and I'm reminded of sometimes people say, well, this is all my company pays. And so this is what I get. This is what they pay me. And I would challenge that with, that's all they pay you. But if you were to improve and get better, you would potentially have the access to get a better salary, or, so that's my point, that there's always something else to discover. And sometimes you just need exposure.
Exposure is a great word, actually, because I think the other day I heard somewhere that, for example, kids in those areas, as you said, they're exposed to, their role model is, for example, drug dealers, right? Those guys are what they can see as a role model, as success. Well, those guys have money, they're doing great. They get lots of respect. So that's my role model. That's how I want to be like, because that's the best thing in the area of exposure that I have.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
so then you can stay in the same cycle until someone like this lady, Dr. Laila, you said, I
Oh, yeah,
think.
yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Until someone like her comes into your life and wakes you up and say, hey, look, there is another world out there, and
Yeah.
you can be a part of it. Because I think often we go, okay, this is us and that's them. This is
Yes.
us, we are kind of like, here we are, and less than those successful people, or those people who probably are more intelligent, going to uni, or doing their masters. Because for years I never thought of masters, because I thought I was just not intelligent enough to do a master's course. And when I
Okay.
did the master, I was like, oh, it wasn't, it was tough, but it wasn't
Mhm.
impossible. It wasn't always other people can do it and not me.
Right. Right.
So I guess you kind of start pushing your limits to see, maybe I can. And then, oh, I did this. What's next?
Exactly. Even like at an earlier age, when I went into the military, my first duty station was Okinawa, Japan. And then I went to South Korea. Now, think about it like this, like I had never gone before then to any other country. I think I went to Puerto Rico, but it's still affiliated with the US. So I'm in the first time I'm driving on the other side of the road. I'm looking at street signs that I cannot understand or read, you know, and eating different foods. I had some level of culture shock, obviously, but at the same time, it was stretching me and pushing me. So I could have shrunk back and said, I need to get out of here. I need to quit. But thank God that something was like, no, just keep going, keep learning, keep unlearning, keep relearning, and being excited about that. In therapy, they talk about exposure therapy, right? About if you have fears of something, kind of expose yourself to it little by little. And I would love and encourage people about that today that, you know, maybe you can't go to a different country, but how about you try some different food? You can go to, or try, visit your next city over, or become friends with someone who is not from your cultural or traditional background and see where it takes you. Those little steps can help you maximize your life.
Yeah, and I think that's such a great point. I also think that that helps you expand your horizons, doesn't it? You see that there are other cultures, there are people believing other things, doing
Yes.
things differently. So it's not like it's our way or highway, that
Right.
that everyone have things, all different cultures have things that are equally respectable.
Or even better sometimes, right?
Yes,
Because
exactly.
yeah, and
Absolutely.
it's okay. Adopt them, adopt
Absolutely.
the whatever it
Take
is.
whatever, I guess that with as people, both you and I, both, growing up with multicultural
Yeah.
exposure, going from Turkey to Denmark and then Denmark to England, for me, it was a lot about, oh, okay, well, with the Turkish culture, I like that, but I don't like that. But I like that in Denmark. They do that in a better way. That's much more acceptable for me. So I'll take that and I'll accept that. And so you just kind of mix and match of what you think is best of each culture, as well. What can help you thrive, so to
Yep.
say, I guess.
And once you break out of that comfort zone, by the way, nothing grows in a comfort zone. So once you are okay with being uncomfortable, you begin to get stretched. And as I think Albert Einstein once said, that a brain that or a mind that learns a new idea or concept never returns to its original form, because you are growing, you are expanding. And just like you, I've adopted things from other worlds, from other cultures and other countries that are better than my own culture, and I have improved like that. And I think you deconstruct any essentialism you may have, thinking that your way or your culture is the best, and it's okay to be proud of who you are. That's not what we're talking about, but we're talking about like dare to be a global citizen, and learn that there is so much more.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's so awesome. And the unfortunate thing is once you get bit by this, I call it the entrepreneurial bug, the exposure, you don't have enough lifetime to discover everything.
I agree with you. I completely agree with you. There is so much, isn't there?
Yeah,
Yeah, so much to discover, so many people to meet, so many things to do. And that's
yeah,
what makes life so exciting as
right,
well.
right.
Is there anything that you think that we haven't covered before? I would like to ask you if you have ever faced any perfectionist tendencies in your life that you may have found before you went all through this self-discovery and flexible mind. Have you experienced whether any perfectionism tendencies were holding you back in any way?
Yeah, I think you asked me two questions. Was there anything
Yeah,
else that I
sorry.
share? And question, yeah, it's cool. I think I'll combine them. I'll combine them if that's okay. I think that for a very long time, and even until today, sometimes I struggle with the imposter syndrome, right?
Mm.
An imposter syndrome, it's like basically you don't belong, or maybe you're an imposter, that someone's gonna figure it out, that that who you really are and who you really are isn't who you say you are.
Yeah, and
And so,
tell you to pack your bags and leave. How
yeah, right. And who is that anyways, right? It's like, get
who
out of here.
wrote it?
But
Who
it's
got
still,
this
I
idea?
think because of the perfectionism, we struggle with that because we all sometimes we are fixated on a level or measurement that isn't realistic. And sometimes it's not even for you or me to adopt. So for example, I don't necessarily need to measure my level of success or achievement with someone else more than I need to do it with myself. So for example, the Peter Rios that you met today, hopefully I am a better version of myself a year later or even 5 years later. And that's my internal competition, to be my best and to improve. But if I'm comparing myself to someone else who's had a different life, or it's not fair, it's not equitable, because maybe that person, they had different advantages that I did, or they started in a different place. Sometimes, just to be honest, there are societal inequities, and so maybe the playing field is not level. So I think that struggling with that, but then also overcoming that with some success, and also the continuous growth mindset that I can achieve anything that I can think, and go for it, and I have to balance that though with what you're asking. Like, so, that can become then like all day, everyday grind of like, I want to do it. I need to do it. And I need to step back. And I think we need to step back and take a breather and just be kind to ourselves and be content in the current present moment. You may have a goal for a year from now or 3 or 5 years from now, but you don't have to kill yourself to do it. And so I
Yeah.
think for me, that's the struggle of how do you balance that,
Yeah.
and how do you feel content in the present while still looking at the future and also leveraging your past.
And I guess the values can come in here, right? Just checking with your values, because
Yeah.
if you focus on the goals and then you forget everything else that might matter to you, your family or your children, or your whatever, your dog, it might be anything. When you're not aligned, you then start feeling distressed, right?
Yes.
Things don't feel right, and you might get anxious, you might get depressed. So it's really good to check the values when you are focused on a goal as well. Do
So
you
true.
think there is anything, and thank you for covering this about the perfectionism, and especially around imposter syndrome?
Yeah.
That's something that is just coming to be debated. It was not something that was talked about before, and
Mhm.
more people are talking about it, which I think is great. So it's surfacing more, and the more we talk about things, we know that the less mysterious and out of sight they are. So, would you say that there is anything that we need to cover and that I haven't asked yet?
No, I think you have been a great host, Eileen, and also have asked some amazing questions. And I think that, for those who are listening to us, I think the message is don't settle for less, but also have a life balance where you can achieve and be successful, but don't burn out, because we need you here for the long haul, right? This is a marathon, not a sprint. And so I think that while there's always room for improvement and for growth and for stretching, there's also room for reflection, meditation, being centered daily, being content with where you're at in life, and enjoy life, right? We only get one of these to live.
Yeah.
So we have to enjoy it. We maximize it, but we do it in a healthy way. And I didn't understand that before. So hopefully today you're gaining those concepts and principles that it's awesome, it's cool. Maximize your life, live your fullest potential, but also be content where you're at and enjoy the process.
Yeah, and be kind to yourself.
Yes. Matter of fact, look at that. Let's hug ourselves right now. This is awesome.
Yes, I love me.
Yeah, yes.
That reminds me, just before we wrap up, that reminds me, I found a mug that said, I love me. my daughter saw it and she said, "Oh, Mom, what is this?" Like, a cup that says "I love me." I said, "It took me 40 years to love myself. I am going to have a mug that says "I love me," and
That's
shouted through the rooftops. It's
awesome.
okay, you
That's
know.
awesome. I need to get one of those.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Thank you so much, Peter. It's been such a joy and
Thank you.
so interesting to have you here today. And I'm sure there's so much that the audience are taking away from our
Oh,
conversation.
thank you for having me. If folks want to find me, I'm on social media at Dr. Peter Rios, or my website is www.peterriosconsulting.com. Would love
I
to
will
hear more
put
from you.
I will put the link on
Thank
the
you.
episode description as well, so they can always click on it and find you
Thank
uh
you, Eileen.
website as well.
Been
Yes.
great being with you today, and
Thank you
so much
so much.
love to St. Martin to London.
Much love. Take
Peace.
care.
Okay.
Thank you again. Bye. Thank you for joining us in I'm a Perfectionist, Get Me Out of Here podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please do leave stars and a review. Help me spread the word by sharing this with your friends and family. My practical manual, Transformation Through the Power of Quotes, will help you or someone you know get through tough times and feel happier. It is now available on Amazon paperback and Kindle. You can also check out our website, mindandmood.co.uk. Thank you again, and remember, imperfect action is better than perfect inaction. Bye for now.